the technology area, reforms in the labor, reforms in the land, reforms in the infrastructure areas, whether it is the power sector, road sector, and so on and so forth. So therefore, the problem therefore moves away from the domain of the Reserve Bank to the domain of the Ministry of Finance of the government. So one can see what is happening in terms of the policy and challenges which are being faced by some of the industries. Now, if you look at the commercial vehicles, one can say it is typically a cyclical problem. But if you look at the passenger cars vehicles, it is more the problem of structural change. And the structural change, we want to move from what is it called B4 to BS4 to BS6. You want to change the behavioral pattern of the millennials, whether they should own the car or whether they can hire the car or rent the car. So this is a structural problem. It's not anything to do with the cyclical nature. Commercial vehicles, if the cement consumption is going down during the monsoon season, obviously the demand for the movement of cement will be less. So also the steel will be less. So different problems for the different segments of the same automobile sector. So that is the kind of situation which prevails. So there are industry-specific issues. I think many of them, I think you will be familiar with what is happening to the auto sector, what is happening to the real estate sector, what is happening to the steel sector. And there are many others, including the consumer goods industries, what is happening to the biscuit industry, for example, and so on. So basically, I think there is a macro problem and there are micro issues also. So both have to find different kind of solutions. Solutions to the micro issues obviously get transmitted or translated into the macro situation also. So if the micro situation improves, obviously the macro situation will also improve. Similarly, if the macro situation improves, if you do the reductions in the corporate tax rates, reductions in the repo rate, obviously the whole thing gets transmitted into the micro level. So there is this kind of an interesting nexus between macro and micro. So what the RBI therefore answer this, having said that this is a structural problem, that we can do reductions in the repo rate because the Minister of Finance exhorts us to do it quite constantly, and therefore they will do. But look, the problem is not necessarily the monetary problem. The problem is not necessarily associated with reductions in interest rate. The problem is also associated with what needs to be done in terms of infrastructure reform, what needs to be done in labor laws, taxation, legal reform, ease of doing business, and many other things. So those are typically what we call the problems associated with structural change. And how does one overcome the structural rigidities of it? And all this they are saying with the ultimate goal of reaching the Modi's target of $5 trillion economy by 2025. So that is the kind of a situation which the bank is trying to suggest. Now what are having diagnosed the problem to the extent it is possible for the Reserve Bank to do, what it is doing? For the consistently for the last 6 to 7 months or 8 months, it has brought down the repo rate. And it is 5.40 currently, which is almost coming to one of the lowest levels, which was reached 4.75 after the global economic financial crisis. So I think there would be quite substantial reduction once again when the October policy is put across. In fact, I think just about 2 or 3 days back, the governor himself conceded that there is a space for reduction of repo rate. So therefore, he has preempted what the Monetary Policy Committee is supposed to be doing, and he has said that I'm making a case for the further reduction of repo rate. So there is going to be a reduction in repo rate. All that is, of course, being supported by further efforts to translate the reduction repo rate in terms of softening of the lending rates, and for which a new external benchmark has been suggested. The repo rate itself becomes an external benchmark, or there are two or other three elements which are being considered to be also the benchmarks for the lending rates. So therefore, there has been some degree of transmission, but Reserve Bank wants more aggressive transmission of reduction in the repo rate. But the cost of borrowing has to be reduced to the borrowers. So that gives you some sense of comfort. So you have a tendency to probably go to the banks, borrow more, and bring about revival of the economic activity. The reductions of lending rates, along with the reductions also applicable to long-term funds, helps the investment revival. Steady infusion of liquidity. A lot of liquidity has been infused to take care of the banking sector, to take care of the non-banking financial companies, and currently, obviously, there is a circuit of liquidity in the market. So, just about 6 months back or 9 months back, there was a major issue about acute liquidity crunch. So, at the macro level, the liquidity is not in short supply. But you will still have a problem of a cash crunch, and that affects large number of industries because of the reluctance on the part of the major purchasers of your commodities to pay for the suppliers. So therefore, that kind of a situation is being seen, commonly being talked about by many people. So the cash crunch is there, but therefore there is this kind of a paradox of liquidity surplus versus the cash inadequacy and critical production units or the trading units or the saving. You are trying to improve the credit flows, and then I think a large number of initiatives have been taken to support both NBFCs as well as HFCs, so that the money by itself does not become a constraining factor in the economic demand. And last, the major fiscal support which the Reserve Bank of India has given in terms of roughly about 1.76 lakh crores, highest ever transfers, entire profits of the year 2018-19 plus what was considered to be the surplus capital which was being held by the Reserve Bank of India based on the recommendations of the expert committee has been transferred. Now that gives you a tremendous amount of fiscal support that probably will help the budgeting mechanism, and that probably induces Nirmala Sitharaman to give 1,49,000 crores or 1,45,000 crores by way of a corporate tax relief. But that is not going to be enough in terms of its impact. That's not going to be enough in terms of tackling the government's overall fiscal situation, which still remains difficult. Now, this is the kind of thing which is based on yesterday's announcement. Amount which has been given out is roughly rupees 1.45 lakh crores, which is a huge. If you relate it to the size of the overall corporate tax collection, which was anticipated for 2020, it is roughly about 19%. The huge sacrifice of tax resources. Never in the history probably this kind of a thing would have been done. For a single tax to give away so much of money in one go. And Chidambaram of yes was known for his dream budget of 97-98. That time also he did a lot of reductions in the personal income tax and corporation income tax. But the amount which was given away was not comparable with the amount which has been given away currently. In addition to that, what was done yesterday in terms of some modifications of the GST, those modifications with respect to hospitality industries and a few other industries also involves sacrifice of tax revenue. Effectively, if I collect every single major policy initiative in which the government has given away some money from its budget, the total, to my way of looking at it, comes to roughly about 2,50,000 crores, 2,50,000 crores to roughly about 2,75,000 crores. Now that's a big giveaway. Now that big giveaway should have a positive impact. Now every such important policy measure has a time lag. Nothing comes instantaneously. Policy measure can come instantaneously. But the implementation of that policy, the outcome of that policy, the response of the various players to the policy takes its own time. So therefore, Sensex may shoot up by 1900 points plus, but whether the economic growth will shoot up from 5% to 7.5% in a span of 6 months is a matter of judgment, is a matter, critical matter of exam. So there is an issue. The issue is you have awakened yourself probably a little late than what was necessary. If it was done probably in the budget of July, 2 months would have passed and people would have started reacting to it in terms of pending investment decisions, postponed investment decisions, and gone to the drawing board or to their own board of directors and say that here is an opportunity now for us to look afresh to the opportunities which are going to open up as a result of reduced tax burdens. So this is a kind of a change which was anticipated about 2 months ago, has taken place slightly later. So nevertheless, what I am trying to suggest to you is that if you look at the total size of the budget, and if you give away roughly about 250,000 crores to 270,000 crores by various kinds of reductions and changes, you are giving away roughly about 0.5% of the overall size of the GDP. Overall size of the GDP, which means your fiscal deficit, which was supposed to be 3.3%, now is moving towards 3.7 to 3.8% of the GDP. Now, whether there will be, what happens in all these cases is there is what is called the elasticity of response, elasticity of investments. So, what is the rate at which the change will trigger itself in terms of actual investment activity, actual production activity. So that is the elasticity which is critical. Now what many people are trying to suggest is, or the commentators are trying to suggest, or the experts are trying to suggest is, this is some kind of a supply side response to the economy. And what is missing, as we have seen earlier, is a consumption demand. And the consumption demand is the one which is not being taken care of. Now how does government take care of the consumption side? That means the government has to start spending more on the various kinds of projects which it has. It could be infrastructure projects, it could be agricultural sector giveaways or spendings. Those are the types of things which will broad-base in purchasing power in the hands of the people, and that will generate consumption demand. So one of the critics and one of the critical aspects of the policy responses so far has been that it has concentrated more on the supply side of the economy. This is a supply side measure, the path-breaking corporate tax reduction. But it is not concentrating on the deficiencies in the aggregate demand. And deficiencies in aggregate demand is also because the rural purchasing power has been constrained. People have lost the jobs, number of them. So there is a jobless growth, that 5% growth also is a jobless growth. And because of that, if the employment is not there, the purchasing power is lost. If the agricultural incomes, there is a deflation in the agricultural income because agricultural prices are not corresponding to the increases in the cost structure of the agricultural So there are major issues of this nature which are structural in dimension, and that's where the economic reform has to happen. So we will go to the various other policy changes which the government has done. Again, this is also supply side response. You are trying to get more foreign investment coming in, or expanding the net for the foreign investment to come in the coal sector or the retail sector, the contract manufacturing, so on. All these are powerful measures, I mean, no doubt about it. But the powerful measures gets itself positively impacted when the consumption side of the economy, the confidence of the consumers starts coming back, and that confidence of the consumers depends upon many other things. So I'm not going into the specific details, but broadly speaking, I think all these measures are of a significant nature to increase the foreign direct investment. And foreign direct investment, if you look at it, in the last 4 years, average collections or average receipts from foreign direct is roughly about $60 billion per year. It's a huge amount which is coming from foreign direct investment. It could be that existing units are getting, existing companies or the corporates are getting more funds, trying to enhance their equity holdings, so there is not adding to the new investment, but there is a large component of this which adds to the new investment. So by and large, FDI coming in a big way will be a tremendous advantage. India is fortuitously placed again in terms of its positioning currently. If China is going down, China is not becoming attractive. If US has a major problem in China in terms of the trade relationship, India is the one which is a big size economy which has a major potential to attract foreign investment. So the combination of the yesterday's policy measure in terms of reducing the corporate tax rate along with the FDI liberalization is a powerful inducement for the foreign investment to come. Now, when we go to the specific packages, again, I think many of these things are known to you. I'm not going to get into the specific aspects of it. The question is, I think there has been a lot of flip-flop on the automobile policy, as a result of which a great deal of uncertainty has taken place. Yesterday also, I think you were mentioning about the investment which have been made by the existing automobile manufacturers, and what do they do with it, because they have to get back. There has to be a return flow of the investment which has been made, so that the new investment can take place in the technology-driven areas of e-vehicles. Now the e-vehicles, and many people have been saying, should have been phased out in a more strategic, structural format. The initial intention was there, that by 2030, they will have more electric vehicles, or the dominant automobile market will be of electric vehicles. But somehow I think there was a confusion in the course of the last year or so, as a result of which automobile sector has got a setback in terms of environment as well as investment. Again, in the housing sector, I think these are the interesting changes which have been made. But if you look at the reactions of the major developers, the reactions have not been very positive. They still want deal mange more, I think, because they still want many more things to be done in terms of the housing sector. And in the pre-monetary policy discussion, there were at least two major representatives. One was Hiranandani of Hiranandani Group, and another was from the DHL, from the PhD Chamber of Commerce. And they were saying that in NCR, that is National Capital Region, there is a huge stocks of unsold apartments, and they will require an investment of at least 90,000 to 100,000 crores, or the capital inflow of, or the credit inflow of that magnitude to ease out the excesses in the NCR region itself. That's a one single region. So the amount of the build-up of inventories by what is it been called irrational exuberance on the part of the realty sector, the housing sector, is getting itself now reflected in what is happening in this sector. So the housing sector has got affected by a variety of factors. So there is a huge problem of inventory build-up. I think we see it in Bombay, we see it in Pune when we go there. So the issue is affordable housing. I think there is a tremendous amount of positive things which are happening. But a non-affordable housing, a lot of things are changing. And that is also of a structural nature. Just as in the case of a car, there is a belief that why should I own my car? I should hire or rent. Similarly in the case of housing, why should I own my house? I can change my house, I can go in different places, I can take it on a rental basis, and that is extremely possible. So now one also sees interesting convergence of the two sets of factors. There is a technology-driven situation. There is another thing, a sociological driven situation. There is a diminishing pride and prestige associated with ownership. Ownership of house, ownership of cars. Now these are the two major segments, and ownership of many other things, including branded products. People are saying that even for the top-end clothing, top-end sarees, there are libraries. So people are not buying a sari for buying a sari, but they are having an access to that library. So you can keep on having multiple choices. So instead of having one sari, you can have 10 different saris being taken from the library. So these are the kinds of disruptions which are happening, which we are not able to sort of decipher very clearly and understand what will be its impact on the various kinds of things. So these disruptions are more important. Now there is again a sector-specific support for the export sector in a variety of ways, interest subventions, registered duties and taxes. This is another 50,000 crores. So that's what I was saying. So we are moving towards a huge amount of fiscal deficit gap which has been created. It has been created to support certain sectors of the economy. It will help that, but it takes its own time. So all kinds of changes are being done. Now what is the work in progress? Tremendous amount of work in progress. If you look at the report card of 100 days, wonderfully prepared